Coach Steven, we're ready.
You ready?
Look into
You have to look into
this camera.
So that's the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be asking you the questions.
What's first or myself? Who's first?
First coach, then you.
Perfect.
Coach, first question. How is Odisha FC ready for the new challenge in new circumstances?
I don't think really anybody is completely ready. I don't think if you ask any of the coaches, they'd like more time. If you ask the players, they'd like more practice games. But we're as ready as we can be. And the players have faced that challenge really well. Have worked hard. The coaching staff and the technical staff have done a good job, and we've tried to put in place all the things that you want to be in place. So when the kick-off comes, we'll be as ready as we can be.
Due to the pandemic situation, the entire ISL is being played in Goa. What do you think is your team's comfort level being away from home?
As a footballer, a professional athlete, you've got no real comfort levels. Your job is to stretch those levels as far as you can. Sometimes going outside of them. Well, we're outside of them now, and as I say, the players have approached that in a really good way, and I'm pleased with that. And then we have to see how much can we stretch ourselves in this environment.
Games against Hyderabad, they've emerged victorious. Can your team maintain the streak against them?
History doesn't really help anybody, does it? You know, the Titanic sunk a long time ago. I don't think it was dead, and Liverpool won the league last year in England, but none of that helps this year. So we've got 2 new games against them. They've got new players, we've got new players. There's a lot of things changed at both ends, so we'll approach this game based on the here and now and not what could have been or what may be.
Your team has a dynamic Brazilian duo of Marcelinho and Diego. How much are you relying on them to bolster the attack alongside Onwu? And how will the presence of 6 foreigners matter for the team in the entire season?
I think relying on players is a very risky business. I think you've got to be able to play without anybody if you can. Of course, our foreign players should be influential. One of the biggest influences I want them all to have is that they affect the Indian lads positively and encourage them and help them to develop. But then again, you know, you're talking about players that people expect to score goals, and usually the goal scorers grab the headlines. So we are looking for them to be a threat, but we are certainly looking for everybody to help in the development of the Indian lads.
Last year, Odisha played some of the best possession-based football in the league. What style of play can the fans expect this year?
I think if you look at last year's performance, the coach had been here for 2 years. They'd set a certain way that set out their stall in a way to play, and I watched a lot of the games before I came, and there was certainly a style of football that was developing, possession-based. Conceded probably more goals than the coach wanted, and probably didn't score enough on transition as the coach had wanted. And set plays needed to be polished. So we're hoping to build a little bit on what was done last year. I would like to think that we're going to be efficient as well as being attractive. That's not an easy thing to do, so that will be our challenge, and we'll try and do our best.
Hyderabad have a new coach and a lot of new players as well. What's your assessment of them, and how important is it for you to get off to a winning start?
Yeah, well, we all say the winning start's important. We all say that, and then win, lose or a draw, we make a new case for the next game. So we want points on the board, of course. I'm really looking for a performance. I think the performance is what we should be looking at now, and let that lead us to a good result. So we could look at performance first. In terms of Hyderabad, look, it's first game of the season. We've all been working for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, played 1 or 2 friendly games. Even they probably are evolving. Certainly with a new coach and new players, they'll be the same situation as us, they're evolving. So to read too deeply into anything at the moment is difficult. We've taken on board, we've done our homework, we've taken on board things that we think are a developing trend, but we won't be adjusting all of our game to suit them. We're going to again try to concentrate on our own performance.
Stephen, I'm going to ask your questions and I'll finish with coach. You've played in the English Premier League and the A League, and we all know that the climatic conditions are a bit different from India. Did you face any problems in acclimatizing?
No, not really. I think you have to accept the humidity conditions. It's just concentrating the game. You keep thinking about the conditions. It can affect your performance. But for myself, you just get on with it. You have to deal with that.
You've been selected as a captain for Odisha for this season. How are you looking forward to it, and what extra responsibilities would you be taking on and off the field to fulfill your role?
Big responsibilities. I think obviously setting standards, the values, and making sure that take the pressure off my teammates and lead by example. I think when I do that, hope the rest of the teammates will follow.
You've played for a big club like Newcastle United. How are you looking to use that experience to help Odisha FC?
I think obviously working with a lot of managers, and you try and pick out the best bits, and you're trying to bring that to the team as well. And obviously learning now through Stuart, the experience that he's got, it's going to develop my game and improve me as a player. And I think it's fantastic, especially for the young Indian boys, to gather that information, and hopefully it'll benefit them.
You'll be meeting a lot of your former A-League colleagues this season. Whom do you look forward to playing against on the pitch?
My ex-teammates, I think, with Dave Williams, Roy Krishna, and Gary Hooper. If you look what Roy and Dave Williams have done out here last season, they're fantastic. Top quality professionals, and the performances that they did last year, got them the success. And I think Gary Hooper, his CV just speaks for itself. Top quality players, so it'll be a test. But like I've seen in the Indian Super League, it's never going to be an easy game for myself or any defenders here. So we'll definitely be on our toes, and it'll be an exciting challenge.
Everyone will be looking forward to your partnership with Jacob Tratt. How are you looking at your responsibility as captain of the squad, as well as one of the main people in your team's defence?
Obviously, we're going to defend from the front, and throughout the team, we win as a team, and we lose as a team. I think it's going to be a roller coaster. We'll have some highs, we'll have some lows, but we've got to stick together. I think the experience that myself brings, as long as we're with foreign players, we can hopefully pass on that information and experience to the young boys. And listen, it's going to be a long season, but the boys are excited for the challenge that's ahead.
How difficult is it going to be living in a bio bubble for the entire league? And what are your thoughts about the squad's mental health?
I think worldwide it's obviously going to be very difficult. You're right, so sacrificing time away from the families, so they know what they're doing here. To go back to their families with their success is what we're all here for. And I think so far so good. The staff behind the scenes are doing the best to make sure the players are always kept busy, and making sure the mental health is all good.
I'll come back to you soon. How have the key Indian players of last season and the new foreign players in the squad gelled during whatever length of pre-season you've had?
As you say, the length of the pre-season has not been a normal one, and so to see small shoots of relationships growing is what we can expect now, and that's what we've got. We've got combinations of playing styles, and we've got, as Stephen is saying, Stephen has affected Bora, for example, playing alongside him. He's affected in a positive way. So small shoots of relationships are showing, but time will tell how that gels completely.
Your squad has a lot of talented Indians like Jerry, Vineet, Thoiba, Samuel, etc. How hopeful are you with the Indian options available to you? And what role do you think Shubham will play this season?
Well, I think all of our Indian players are really quite young now. I don't think we've got an old, experienced type of player. So all of the young lads have really got to have a very, very steep learning curve, and they can learn from people like Stephen. They can learn from the actual games, and they can learn from getting information from the coaching staff. But I think their challenge is to, despite not having played 10 seasons, act as if they're experienced. playing in an experienced way. But again, I want it balanced to be being entertaining with being efficient.
Shubham, on Shubham, your thoughts?
And Shubham, look, I think he's a good player at the moment, and I'm expecting him to develop into a very good player. And I think if he develops in a positive way, he has problems in his game that he's dealing with, but if he deals with them in a positive way, then I think we will have a very good player in our hands.
All the things that you mentioned, the short pre-season, a lot of new players coming in, few practice games. How prepared do you think you are ahead of the first game?
Well, every coach wants to be better prepared. If you'd have given me 2 months, I'd have probably won an extra 2 days. So you're never as prepared as you want to be. You always think there's something else you could have done. But I think with the time, as I said before, with the time allotted, the players couldn't have done much more. And if we try and throw more information at them, I think we're probably going to slow down the process even more. Let them grasp what we've got at the moment, and then continue to develop through the first 5 or 6 games. Hopefully, we'll be picking up points in that process, so that we're encouraged to keep on the journey.
You're playing against a team that conceded 39 goals last season. Does that give you optimism ahead of your first game?
Well, we conceded our share of goals as well, so you could ask the same to their coach, and I hope his answer will be the same. That's history, and now we'll play against the new ownership. That's history, we'll play against the new Hyderabad.
The opening few games have seen a lot of injuries taking place. Do you think your team has enough depth on the bench to tackle any injuries or suspension that might come? And how is the team's fitness shaping up, considering that some of the foreign players have been out of quarantine not far from the first game?
Yeah, I mean, all of those ingredients are what make this a very difficult job. You're looking all over the world globally. I think the injuries in most leagues are over 250% up. I'm guessing it's going to be exactly the same in the Indian League. So that's a challenge. That's a challenge for your recuperation and your sports scientists in terms of keeping freshness amongst the players. Challenge for the coaches in terms of rotation. Takes us on to the next question: do we have the players to rotate? Well, in many cases we've got young players replacing young players. We will have to be a bit lucky with some of our experienced players. We'll have to have a little bit of feeling for when we can and we can't rest them. But the whole story there is a very unique challenge that we have now, and it's one we've got to face full on. We've got to use all the sports science we can get, all the data and the statistics, and then conversations with the players, and hopefully the squad will stand up, because it's going to be more than ever a squad thing this year.
Final question: do you have the entire squad at your disposal? Are there any injuries at the moment?
We have the lack of availability through quarantine, coming straight out of quarantine. That will be an issue. Jacob will not be ready for the first game. We've got a couple that we're going to wait and see. I've got a slight strain. Jerry will not be available for the first game. So we do have our challenges on that front. But again, I'm probably echoing what most coaches are saying. So it's not a case of feeling sorry for yourself. It's a case of finding a solution.